Hello everyone and welcome back to today's tutorial. In today's tutorial, we are going to learn how to create a responsive contact form using HTML and CSS. This is a great project for beginners who want to enhance their front-end web development skills. So here is the finished product of what we are going to be working on, and I'm going to cover the step-by-step process of creating the form and styling it to make it visually appealing. So stick around until the end. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do not hesitate to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon for future notification. Let's dive into the tutorial. So the first thing I'm going to do is to create a project directory on my desktop. So you can do this wherever you want, but right on my desktop I'm going to create my project directory. So I'll go to new and then new folder, and I'm going to call it contact underscore form. So just like this. Next, I'm going to fire up my favorite code editor. So I'll be using Visual Studio Code. So you are free to choose a code editor that you are comfortable with. So I'm going to fire up my code editor, which is Visual Studio Code, and then I'm going to drag the folder to it, and this will open the folder contact form of my Visual Studio Code. So here we have it. So I'm going to close the welcome tab and then right inside the folder I'm going to create our first file. So the first file is going to be index.html. Next, I'm going to create the second file and I'm going to call it style.css. So for those of you that are already familiar with HTML, so the index.html is going to define the structure of our web page or the structure of our contact form, and then the style.css is going to contain the presentation or the look or the appearance of our contact form. So let's start with the index. So as usual, I'm going to bring in our boilerplate. So shift exclamation mark, this is going to populate our boilerplate, and this is needed before we start writing our HTML. So I'm going to zoom in a bit. Then on the title, I'm going to change the title of our contact form. I'm going to call it contact me, just like this. And then below the title, I'm going to provide the link tag. So our link tag is going to be style.css. So we have our file, so we're going to link our HTML page to the style.css. So I'm going to enter the name of the file, which is style.css. So now I'm going to save this file, and I'm going to right click and open with a live server. Now the live server is basically an extension that allows us to preview our code in the browser. So if you haven't installed the live server, you can simply go to extension and then you can search for the live server and you can have it installed. So if I scroll down a bit, and then you will see the live server has been installed. So I'm going to go back to my Explorer screen. So now I'm going to right click and then open with a live server, and this will open our working directory in the browser. So here we have it. So I'm going to minimize this and then have it on the other end. I'm going to share my screen so you can see what is happening live. So inside the body tag, I'm going to create a div. So I'm going to say div, and I'm going to give it a class of contact form. And after the div, I'm going to create a heading 2 element, and I'm going to call it contact form or contact us. So let's say contact us. And after that, I'm going to create the form element, and within the form element, I'm going to have a label. So let's say name, just like this. Next, I'm going to have my input element, and this is going to be text, and you can give it an ID of name, and then name, we say name, and then we also want this to be required. So next, I'm going to have another label, and this is going to be for email. Then the input tag, the input element for email, I will equally give it an ID, though this is not required, ID of email, and name, the email, and I also want this to be required. So the required attribute will ensure that this field, the email field, is not empty. So finally, we'll have a label for message, and I'll give it a name, message, just like this. And this time, this is going to be a text area, and the name, the message, and the ID message. We are going to get rid of the colon. So we just want the row to be 4. And we also want this to be required. So next, and this is going to be the final one, which is our button. And make sure that the type is set to submit. And we'll call this submit also. So now let's save the file, and here we go. So we have our contact us, the name field, the email field, the message, and then the button. So now let's move over to the styling. So right on my style.css, so the first selector is going to be on the body. So on the index, everything is inside the body tag. So body, and then I'm going to define a margin, and I want to make the margin 0. So this will remove the default margin given by browsers. So if I save this, so you can see that the margin is gone. So next, I'm going to give it a font family, and I'll set this font family. So okay, let's give it Arial, Helvetica, or generic sans serif. Next, I'm going to set the layout to display flex, and then justify content to center. And after that, I'm going to align things vertically. So align items, and I'm going to center every other element vertically. and then I want to make sure that the viewport height is set to 100, and then the background, I'm going to use a linear gradient on the background. So instead of using a solid color or an image, I'm going to be using a linear gradient. So linear gradient, and this is going to be a combination of 3 colors. So I want this to be on the right, comma, and then the first color is going to be FF3 CA, and then the next color is going to be 7848080, and next it's going to be 2B86C5, and if I save that, and here we go. So the next selector is going to be on the contact form class. So everything is wrapped in the div, so the contact form class. So I'm going to start with a dot and then contact form. So make sure that it is spelled correctly, contact form. And within the contact form, I'm going to define a max width of 400 pixel, and then within the 400 pixel, I want the width to be 100%, and then the padding to be 20 pixel. If I save this, and then the background, I'm going to set a background of white, or we can simply say FFF, just like this. So here we have a background color, and then we're going to give a border radius, and this is going to give a rounded corner on the borders. So border radius, and this is going to be 8 pixel. If I save that, and here we can see the rounded corners, and then I'm going to give a box shadow, and this will be 0, 0, 10 pixel, and I'm going to use ROG BA, and I'm going to set the color values to 0, 0, 0, and then 0.1. So if I save that, and here we go. So the next style is going to be applied to our H2. So just within the contact form, we have H2. So we have contact form, and then we want to style H2 just like this, and then we want to align the H2 to the center. So if I save that, and here we go. Next is the color for our H2. We want the color to be #333. If I save that, here we go. So next within the contact form, we are going to style our input, our text area, and then our button. So first I'm going to enter the class, and then the element, which is input, comma, the class again, and this time the text area element, and then finally the button. So the inputs, the text area and the button elements are going to be styled at the same time. So we want to define width for 3 of these to be 100%. So if I save that, and here we go. Next, we want to define the padding, and we want that padding to be 10 pixels. So if I save that, so here we go. Next, we are going to define a margin bottom, and we want that to be 15 pixel. If I save that, and here we go. Next, we are going to define the border, and we want the border to be 1 pixel solid, and the color is going to be CCC. So if I save that, then we want to give it a rounded corner, so this is going to be border radius, and the border radius is going to be 4 pixels. I save that. Here we go, and here you can see that the input element is overlapping. So with the border sizing, we can eliminate that. So I'm going to say box sizing, and this is going to be border box. So if I save that, and here we go, I'm going to give it a font size of 16 pixels. So to save that, here we go. So next, we are going to style the text area specifically. So I'm going to say text area, and we want this to resize vertically. If I save that, awesome. Then the button alone, and we are going to define a background for it. So we want the background to be one of the colors of the gradient. So we are going to pick this. Let's copy that, and then we can specify that on the background, just like this. So if I save it, and here we go, then we also want the text color. You can see that the text color is black, so we want to change that to white. So triple F, change that to white. And then we want the cursor to be pointer. So each time we hover on it, so you can see as I hover close to the button, the cursor changes to pointer. Then next, we're going to style a color change whenever we hover on the button. So I'm going to say button, and then hover. So what happens when we hover on the button? We just want to change the background to a different color. So we had this color, and let's give it a little bit darker color. Okay, so now let's save that, and now we have finished styling our contact form. So if I maximize the browser, and here we go, so you can see that we now have a responsive contact form. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and found it helpful. If you have any questions or run into an issues, feel free to leave a comment below. Please don't forget to like this video if you found it useful, and subscribe for more web development tutorials. Click on the notification bell to stay updated. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.